Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer. He's on the East Coast, and we've got some best bets here on a Friday 10-game slate in the NBA. So plenty to choose from here with our sides and totals looks. We've also got player props up in a separate episode. So definitely make sure to subscribe to that page. Don't miss any of the content we're bringing you each and every week this season. Also have the email newsletter live for thelines.com, and we are throwing a special bonus parlay pick in there for you guys. So if you do want to make sure that you're not missing that, plus all of the updates on the sports betting news and otherwise that we're bringing you guys for all of these sports across the globe here, definitely want to make sure to check out that newsletter. Going to have a lot of good nuggets in there for you guys. But let's go ahead and look right at the first best bet that you're playing here, Nate, for Friday night.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Wolves at -2.5. Stars out. Ant likely suspended here. That is why you're getting 5 points of value based on the opening. But I think the Wolves can still win in Utah, who, are going to routinely list Collins, Markkanen as questionable. Sexton is also questionable here. They're going to continue to lean in on Isaiah Collier and Keontae George being our offense and potentially our future. But this is a really bad matchup for two rookie guards to go up against these ball hawks, right? I mean, you got Ant out of there. That means you get even more Jaden, Nah, and Jalen Clark just all over these guys. It's going to be really tough for the Jazz to score. Naz Reid probably bounces back after a 1-for-10 night. Wolves are on a back-to-back as well. So, again, you're getting, kind of bucking that trend. So we're talking about a young team that has actually won 4 straight back-to-backs, including 2 against OKC and Houston and 1 against this Utah team. And I mean, they did have 2 days off before they played the Lakers, right? So it's not like a 3 and 4 night situation where they're just going to be completely gassed. I think they'll be a little charged up. If Ant somehow appeals the suspension and he's able to go, then you're holding a fantastic ticket, right? But I mean, I don't think he's going to be able to do that considering we punted a ball into the stands basically. But they've still won 5 of their last 7 without Ant, like the Wolves have. So it's not like they're going to be cooked here. Again, yeah, and maybe it's just more about Utah, right? I mean, they haven't been trying to win much. They are 21% straight up as home underdogs, 1-7 when they have a rest advantage, which they do here, and 1-9 against the very tough Northwest Division, including Minnesota just absolutely smacking them by 25 last time. Again, when Minnesota was on a back-to-back, and all 3 bigs started for the Jazz. So Collins, Markkanen have been sitting a lot of games. If they don't go, then I think Minnesota is able to get this one.
They should be. Yeah, I mean, they should be. This Utah team is definitely not trying to win. Let's make that very clear here with the way that they're going to be bringing guys out on and off. And I don't think that they feel, and it's interesting because Utah, if you follow the trend, they have been playing guys against good teams and sitting guys against bad teams. And then they put guys up questionable right now against Minnesota going well, if Ant plays, maybe we'll throw Collins or Markkanen out there. But if he doesn't, we got to keep both those guys off the floor. They're trying to lose. So I do think that whatever happens, they'll play along with how the Minnesota has to play or not play Ant in this game. So let me go over to Memphis, and they are going to be in the revenge narrative here against the Knicks. -4 for Memphis. I'm going to take the home favorites there. The Knicks waxed them at the Garden in the last one. It was a 37-point drubbing, or 32-27. It was bad. I don't know what the final was, but at one point it was 30 plus. Let's put it that way. This is going to be the no D bowl. There's a reason that this is a 245 total for this one. I mean, these are 2 teams playing really pretty good offense and really awful defense. And in the case of the Grizz, playing at the fastest pace in the league on the season and in the last 10 games. For the Knicks, they're actually up to 14th in pace in their last 5. And I'll say up to 19th in their last 10, which is lightning speed for them, the way that they've been playing since Tibbs got there, obviously. But this is mostly about their inability to stop a nosebleed, as the famous Bart Scott interview once said. So I think Memphis is going to have a party at the rim in transition. Memphis is probably going to have a party at the rim in the paint as well. Nice alliteration there. Mostly because you see, obviously, Cat is questionable. Now Huck Porty's not even available. Probably going to get a lot of Precious. Precious, good rebounder, good offensive player for his size. not the best defender in the world. I do think Triple J is going to have a feast at that point if that's the case. I don't think Edie is going to be much for this game. I do think that he would have too much trouble here getting his stuff, and that they will be playing a lot more of like quote unquote small ball, even though they can still get Santi Aldama at like a stretch 4 and put Triple J at the 5, and that'll be probably enough. Now, if Cat is out there, this is obviously a lot scarier, but I don't think Cat is even going to be fully healthy, and that's a big part of it. And what you've seen in the games without Cat this season is no presence in the paint on offense, just none. Like unable to get into the paint. In the last 3 games without Cat, they have 28 paint points there total paint points in those games. That is not good. You can't be averaging like 10 to 12 paint points just because Cat isn't there, and it's all jump shooting. They took 53s in one of those games as well. Like, this is a team that's just gonna have to make all their jump shots, and this is a Memphis team that, yeah, if you get the spot up, you can score against them, but they're gonna blitz and force the ball out of your hands. And a problem for the Knicks too will likely be turnovers. They're 16th in turnover percentage in their last 5, struggling to hang on to the ball, just like bad passes and a little bit of like not having the same guys out there. Josh Hart's missed a bunch of time, Cat's missed a bunch of time, OG missed a bunch of time, and that's really impacted them. And Hart, I don't know what he looks like. He always looks the same whether he's injured or not, so I'm fine with that. But Cat is hobbling around on a knee, missed the last game, which was fine because they didn't need him necessarily, but this one they would, and I just don't know that he's going to be able to bring it for them.
Yeah, I mean, and even when he's out there, he's just a horrendous rim protector, right? Awful. So, I mean, yeah, we got Memphis with Ja and Triple J just relentlessly attacking right now. I mean, Ja props seem like a good angle for this one, although you do worry about the blowout, I guess, because Memphis at home can just be a wagon. And like you said, yeah, they got a bad taste in their mouth from losing it by 31, I believe it was, in New York. So, yeah, I like the get back here. I was looking at this, and basically just the simple cap is being like, if Hart or Cat can't go, Knicks are absolute toast.
Yep.
So also a 245 total here in Atlanta with OKC visiting. And I just think that's too high when you have the league's best defense. So under 245 is where we're at the moment. And I think that the fourth quarter total is also a one to just pick off in specific here, because you look at OKC, their pace has dropped to 95 the last 7 road fourth quarters, the last 15 overall. Their offense has not been good in the fourth, 6th worst offensive rating and not hitting threes. So that could be a specific look here, but I think that's basically what drives the game under. Like, this could start pretty fast. But then, like, I don't know, OKC might just like lay the smackdown defensively that we thought they were going to do against Brooklyn 2 nights ago. And they just clearly didn't really take Brooklyn seriously. Brooklyn was able to just get up volume threes, 61 3-point attempts, and hit enough of them to make that a high scoring game. But otherwise, like, you can't beat OKC on the interior. You can't really, right now with Chet back, you can't really, I mean, I don't know how this Trey-centric offense is supposed to really light it up against this team that, has been slipping on the road recently, but is still number 1 in points, 3-point defense, assist to turnover, is still 20-1 straight up against the East with a 101 defensive rating, like winning it with defense, right? Allowing like 102 a game against these weaker Eastern teams, forcing 18 turnovers, holding teams to 30% from 3. So the Hawks offense, like, yeah, I just don't think they're much for this game. Their team total is 115.5 if you do want to go that route. They've also gone under 30 points, under 28 points, really, in 7 of their last 9 fourth quarters, but played pretty good defense down the stretch. 99 defensive rating. You do have Dyson Daniels to throw at SGA, who has limited him to, in terms of efficiency. Like, SGA still gets his 30, but he's only shot 45% his last few against Dyson. I mean, these teams totaled 232, the time they met very early in the season. You'd have Chet back at full minutes, like him to eat on offense a little bit here, but he's also averaging like 3 to 6 blocks when he gets a full slate. So, yeah, I just don't think the Hawks, who've gone under in 4 of their last 6 at home, the exceptions were that Detroit game, which was an absurd 112 pace, and just like, yeah, no defense played there. And then the defenseless Spurs who lost Wemby, right? So otherwise, the Hawks have actually been more of a defensive-oriented team since they've lost Jalen Johnson, and I don't think their offense can do much here.
Yeah, for sure. Jalen Johnson was a one-man fast break, and so was DeAndre Hunter. Those guys were picking up the pace and going downhill a lot, and they're not around anymore. And Dyson, for all of his positive attributes, still pretty limited in a lot of ways on offense as a pure scorer, especially. So yeah, the points are going to be harder to come by. The Thunder did not take that game seriously against the Nets. They didn't have SGA playing most of the time down the stretch, especially when they were coming back. Like, they came back because Kason Wallace just had like 8 steals in the third and fourth quarter, and it took them pressing, like literally playing full court press, to just be like, wait, this is silly. We're losing by 20 to the Nets and then come back that way, right? So I don't think they're going to have that level of like not paying attention to the beginning of the game here against Trae Young. And love and under for Trae, even without Caruso in this game. There's still guys like Kason Wallace, Lou Dort are going to still just be hawking him. So they'll be fine there. I'm going to go to an under as well here, slightly lower total, but 220 in Portland and Brooklyn. It's in Brooklyn here. And we've got Denny Avdia. I don't think he's going to play. He left the last game and tried to come back and really couldn't stay in the game. And then Jeremy Grant is also questionable with whatever it is that he's questionable with consistently. I don't believe in that injury as much either. But either way, for this game against Brooklyn, like, it really comes down to Brooklyn to me. We were just talking about them against the Nets, or excuse me, against the Thunder, putting up a $121. And like you said, all those, the thing there was the threes. It was threes for the Nets, and it was second chance points. Day'Ron Sharpe, right, was the second coming of Wes Unseld. Had like how many offense? He had 6. No, excuse me. I'm gonna make sure I get the offensive rebounds specifically correct. He had 8 defensive rebounds and 7 offensive rebounds for 15 boards. So 7 boards on the offensive glass, just eating it. Got them a whole bunch of second chance points. Dominated those offensive boards with 18 of them in the game as a whole. And that's just not what you're going to get necessarily in this game against Portland, when you're going to have Donovan Kling-Kong out there. And even if you don't have Denny and or Jeremy Grant, first of all, Jeremy Grant helps you very, very little, if at all, in the rebounding department. It's more about now a lot more opportunities for guys like Toumani Camara and a couple other guys coming off the bench, even like a Delano Blanton might see some minutes for him for Portland in this one. But I just don't think there's going to be enough offense in general. And if you look at the offense for Portland without Denny this season, they are not almost 10 points per 100 worse on offense without Avdia. In the 4 games they played without him, including this last game, they are at a 102.5 offensive rating on the season. That's not going to get it done here offensively. And then you talk about Brooklyn's offense being 28th over the last 10, 30th in pace, and the 4th best defense in the league over the last 10 games. Come back down to earth a little bit after being the number 1 defense, but still playing in their last 5, a decently hard strength of schedule and limiting team. So this is just a game where I don't think Brooklyn's going to be like, when's the last time Brooklyn scored a buck 10 before this game against the Thunder? Not very recently. So I'm pretty good on an under here.
Yeah, exactly. They were under in 13 of their previous 14 games before that outlier against OKC. And now, yeah, you're getting a total that probably would be like 6-7 points lower, if not for that outlier game. While the Blazers in a 4-game sample here are the fastest team in the NBA out of the break, Nets are still the slowest, and they're gonna dictate a little bit more at home. I think they'll keep this one slower and choppy. I'm not worried about the fact that in January these teams were higher scoring, because now Portland's defense pretty damn good, and Brooklyn has adjusted the way they've played to just like keep it in the mud.
And I should mention, I want to make clear that I am aware that Cam Thomas is playing in this game. He's no longer on the injury report, and I'm still good with it. I don't believe he's going to play more than like 22 minutes in this one. So I think we're still good for a lot more defenders up top than offenders for the offensive-minded players anyway for the Nets. But that's all the time we have for you in this one. Make sure you are subscribed to that page, and don't miss out on the email newsletter as well, so you can make sure you get that bonus parlay pick from us. And until we see you next, happy betting.